So you have some motion capture data and you need to clean it up. Not a problem. Now this is technically not a sponsored video in the sense that Cascadeur did not ask me to make it, but because I do have a promo code if you want to try it out yourself, I have listed it under promotional content anyway. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room first. In just about every studio, all MoCap data needs to be cleaned before it goes to production. It doesn't matter how good the original MoCap is, there are always little things like feet position or small details like fingers and hands that properly need to wrap around weapons that didn't really exist during the raw MoCap recording. Whatever it is, the point is, even in a multi-million-dollar AAA studio, the raw data always needs to be cleaned up. If anyone tells you that they have MoCap software that never requires cleanup, you just need to know that that's probably an exaggeration and not really possible. With that being said, not all software is equally effective when it comes to cleaning up the animation. And my personal favorite go-to solution is Cascadeur, because it is particularly good at smoothing out animation with physics-assisted motion. Now what do I mean by that? Well, basically, in a normal 3D software like Blender or Maya or Max, the animation is as good as you are. No better, no worse. If you know what you're doing and you know how physics and gravity affects things like momentum, then you're probably a naturally gifted animator who's kicking ass already. But if you are not, for example, if you are just a programmer or just someone who's doing animation as a hobby, that is what makes Cascadeur super special, because it will assist you with physics simulated animation. For example, if we create a simple jump animation where we have a beginning, a wind up, a main pose, momentum extension, a pre-landing, and a landing frame, in a normal 3D software, when you lerp everything together, it will look something like this. But in Cascadeur, when you turn on the physics simulation, it will show you what that animation will probably look like in real life. And while it's similar, you can see that there are key differences. For example, it is calculated that given the amount of airtime that we have here, the character would need to start getting low to the ground much earlier than I actually had it. It also calculated that given how much time we actually have to coil our legs, we would only be able to go up about this high. And finally, after landing, we would actually be recovering closer to the ground for longer than my initial keyframe suggests. So it takes your normal animation and then it applies real physics to adjust it to look more natural. And as a result, you can see that even with just a few basic keyframes, we can get some pretty good smooth animation. If we like it, we can go up here, click this, and it will bake our simulation to our actual keys, and now we can continue editing it from here. Additionally, you don't need more than 2 frames for Cascadeur to simulate what it thinks might happen. For example, let's say we just have 2 keyframes, one here and one here. In a traditional animation software like Blender, if you try to combine these 2 frames, you will get something like this. But Cascadeur has physics interpolation assist, and it's good at guessing and trying to fill in the empty space if you are not sure. So if we just click these 2 frames and then hit the in-between button, and then right-click to tell it what we think should be happening here, for example, walking, this will tell Cascadeur that in between these 2 frames, we want the character to try to walk. And if we play the animation now, you can see that it will generate that for us. If we like what we see, then we can bake the motion to keyframes here, and then we can turn on the physics assist to continue manually adjusting the animation. These are the fundamental tools that make Cascadeur different, and they are also the tools that make it my favorite software for cleaning up all kinds of motion capture data. Because sometimes your raw MoCap data will probably get some really weird, unusable parts of the animation, and Cascadeur can actually estimate and imagine what was supposed to be there. As long as you have 2 key poses, Cascadeur can generate what's in between, and then you can adjust it. So, now that you know what Cascadeur is capable of, let's go through a real example of how I would clean up some basic parkour MoCap from QuickMagic, which is a website that gives you 50 seconds of free video MoCap every month. This tutorial is focused on the cleanup workflow, so if you don't know how to use Cascadeur yet and you are from Blender like I was, just watch the video in the pinned comment. It will teach you all the controls and hotkeys you need to know in Cascadeur. Once you've done that, you can come back to this video and see how I would clean this animation. First, you download the FBX from the MoCap, then we transfer the data to the appropriate rig. In my case, I'm using Unreal 5. So in my MoCap software, I'll ask it to export the data to an Unreal 5 mannequin. But when I import it to Cascadeur, we just create a new project, import it, go to bone mode, select all the bones, select all the frames, Control-Shift-C to copy, and in the UE5 template in Cascadeur, make sure we have enough space in the timeline, select all the frames, in bone mode, select all the bones again, and then Control-Shift-V to paste. Now, it will look like we have the animation data, but if you look at point mode, none of the controllers on the character are active. So we need to bake the motions to the controllers. And to do this, all we have to do is select everything, go up here, and then hit bake. Now the controllers have the data, and we can begin manually animating. Okay, so the very first thing that I would probably do is make sure that the animation is just facing a cardinal direction. So here you can see the trajectory of the original data kind of goes up at this funny diagonal angle. I would just start by selecting the whole timeline, activate the group edit, and then rotate the entire animation so it goes in a straight line either forwards or sideways. Once that's done, I would make a super rough first pass to try and fix the biggest problems with position. So all we want to do in this pass is make sure the character's feet are generally on the ground throughout the entire animation wherever it makes sense. And I do this by dragging the character's center of mass where I need. And when we move the character, we want to make sure to select all the frames after the problem and then group edit them so that our adjustments reverberate through the entire remainder of the animation. And you can tell when the group edit is on if you can see the controls selected in red on the bottom right. Once we've done a general first pass to fix general problems going through the ground, the next step is to delete anything that's not a primary keyframe or a pose. So here we just scrub through the animation and we remove anything that looks like it's just transitioning from one pose to the next, because from this point we only want to deal with keyframes. We don't need everything. And something useful to know is if you ever want to remove groups of frames, just select them all and press Alt F. Likewise, if you select a bunch of empty frames and press Alt F, it will key them instead. Now, once we've got our keyframes, now we are going to start thinking about momentum and velocity a little bit. So we're going to make a second pass, and anytime we see the character is not moving far enough or moving too far, we're going to group select and edit those frames to look more natural. For example, I think after vaulting over whatever object was here, the character would fling themselves forward a little bit more. So I'll make the distance they travel here a little farther. Something else that I'm checking for is making sure that the positions of contact on the ground stay more or less consistent. So for example, when the feet land here, they should really stay there until they come off the ground again. So when we are making our adjustments for this second pass, we just want to make sure that the feet stay in the right place between multiple frames. But do not worry about getting it perfect. For now, just eyeball it. We will perfect it in a later pass. And the same thing goes for parts of the animation where we are doing handstands. Because at that point, the hands are what's keeping the character grounded, and we need to treat the hands as feet. So we need to make sure the hands stay in the same place until the character gets airborne again. Once we've done that, the animation should really start to be coming together. And in the next pass we make, now we want to actually fix the feet and lock them in. So if we have physics simulation turned on, which you can tell because you will see the green version of the character, you will see that every time the feet contact the floor, we have these green circles. These circles tell us that the physics simulation acknowledges the character is touching the ground, and that this point will be used to assume the weight of the character is being supported from these points. So we have to go through each frame, and if we have really weird feet results, just click the foot and hit Shift Z to remove the foot data. If you do this, you will see the cascadeur will automatically try and find some natural foot position. And if the foot is close to the ground and it's close to the center of mass, the foot will automatically snap to the floor, which is really convenient because we can use this to our advantage to quickly fix most of our feet issues right away. We will also be doing the exact same thing for the hands, of course, when they contact the floor. First step is to try and align them parallel with the ground, and then we can activate the hand icon to give us extra finger controls, which allow us to change the hand shape by dragging the pointer finger around. This is actually probably one of the most intuitive hand controls I've ever seen in the 3D software. Being able to control the entire hand with just the pointer finger is kinda genius, so definitely try it if you haven't already. Once we got the hand position correct with one frame, we can go to bone mode and then copy and paste those finger poses to the next frame as well. And in order to make sure that the hands are in the exact same place as they were the frame before, we can select the hand controllers and go to the second frame, and on the top in the Tween machine, we can move this so that it actually copies whatever values are in the keyframe before or after. This is actually the same technique that we want to use to make sure that the feet positions stay exactly in the same place the entire time they are on the ground. I'll have another video explaining the Tween machine in more detail, but basically anytime you are happy with feet position and the next keyframe should have the same feet position, just select the feet and use the Tween machine to make them the same. It's super easy and super fast. Now, something else that you might encounter is when you get weird movements between keyframes. In most software, you would fix this manually, but usually this happens because the way IK works in animation. So in Cascadeur, we actually have a super easy fix for this, because we can actually just set the problem to FK instead of IK for that frame. For example, our problem is the left leg. So if we open our timeline and we find our left leg, go to the frame before the problem over here, and then change mode from IK mode to FK mode, now you can see we no longer have the issue anymore. And this fix works for most in-between frame issues. It's especially useful for when you are working with walking animations and the legs are popping from overextension, but we'll talk more about that later. Anyway, if we continue to scrub to the end of our pass, we'll find that we have one more area where the hands are contacting the ground. So we'll just fix it the exact same way we did the first time. Just make sure the hands are parallel to the ground, and then use the finger controls to spread the hands out like so. We'll also rotate it to make a little bit more sense. We'll keep scrubbing, and towards the end, if we find some weird twisting, this situation is a bit more extreme this time. It's not just the leg, it's kind of the entire body. So for this, I'm actually just going to use the in-between generate feature on Cascadeur and try and ask it to figure out the best way to transition between these two frames. Now that helps a little, but I think part of the reason is because the simulation is not sticking to the original pose of the keyframe. So we can brute force it to keep the same pose by clicking that frame and then going up here and turning it to a priority frame. Priority frames just mean that the physics simulation will look exactly the same as the keyframe on that part of the timeline. Okay, so it's not perfect, but for the purposes of this video, I think it'll do. Now we have this, and things are looking pretty good. The last thing I would do is make one or two more polish passes just to add things that maybe give it a bit more exaggeration on the airtime or increase the jump height between leaps. Really, anything at this point is just icing on the cake. You would probably do things like try and make sure there's no clipping and any last adjustments to momentum and velocity once you're done. But once you're done, check the green character, and if you like what you see, go up and press this button to bake the green movement to your real character. Then go to File, Export FBX, then go to your game engine, Import, and you're done. This is the basic process for cleaning up raw MoCap data in Cascadeur. If you like this kind of more in-depth long-form video, or you have any questions or requests that you'd like me to cover in the future, feel free to leave a comment down below. It really helps the algorithm for the channel. And if you would like to leave a comment to support the algorithm but you don't know what to say, if you're a member, you can use the algorithm emoji, because that's exactly what it's for. If you'd like to try Cascadeur for yourself or test it for free, just follow the link in the pinned comment. But honestly, if you're a full-time animator or just a casual game developer, the license is completely worth it, and it will save you hundreds of hours. But regardless, I hope that helps, and as always, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you around.